Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Powerful Creators Mentoring. Are you ready to manifest rapid growth in your business or your sales career? Head over to powerfulcreators.net/mentoring. And when you're checking out, remember to enter in promo code MENTOR96 to get 96% off your first mentoring session. Today's show is also brought to you in part by Naked Warrior Recovery. I have been on a personal health journey to improve myself, and after stumbling across Naked Warrior's Happy Berry energy drink with all the good vitamins and electrolytes to give you a great balance and mental clarity without the junk and jitters like other brands give you, I personally can't get enough of Naked Warrior's energy drink powder, and it actually tastes like happy berries. Click the link in the bio and type promo code JBolton at checkout for 20% off.
Welcome to the Josh Bolton Show, where we dive into interesting and inspiring conversations. And now, your host, Josh Bolton.
Let me get the recording on so I not forget that. I'm just curious, you were talking about how to prospect people for like masterminds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious about that because for me, I've had a few bad experiences with masterminds.
Oh, like being in one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they expected a lot of money and it was very low quality. So I was just curious how you, for like a guy like me with a bad taste in my mouth, I'm not against them, but I just assume 90% now are just a scam to take my money.
So let's kind of put this in another context too. Everybody I know who owns a Ferrari is wealthy and also has a Rover and has multiple houses.
Right.
And they never show their Ferrari off. Okay. That's the brand that Ferrari has. That's the brand Ferrari sells to. And yet we all know the marketers who aren't wealthy, who rented one for a day and took their picture in front of it. Right?
Yes.
Okay. That's not Ferrari's brand. And Ferrari probably doesn't really like that vibe. That's masterminds. Real masterminds probably aren't what you've experienced. That I've heard what you just said so many times. And as a guy who like teaches people how to run masterminds, that's not a mastermind. Like masterminds aren't cheap, but when you're in one, you're there, you're with a few number of people, like 15, 20, 30 people. It's very trusted, very close, and you're there to get shit done and you keep getting it done until it's over. And the coach in there helps do it and the people you're with, like it's amazing. So I hate that you had a bad experience with a Ferrari that really wasn't a Ferrari.
It was a Honda Accord with my kid over it.
That's exactly what it was. You put the pedal down, you're like, wait, well, that sound different?
Yeah, that does not sound right. Then in that case, then technically, yes, I am in one, but he doesn't even market it as a mastermind. He's more like a group meeting for entrepreneurs kind of thing. And that's where I even told him once, like off air, because I'm having trouble with my website. And he has like an unlimited email. So I've taken him up on that. But that was just one of those, I told him, like, dude, I tease him on his copy now because he's been preaching consistency, this and that. And he was preaching a crypto group, like $1,000 for the year. And he's like, with our tactics, and he's like, hell, if you buy in early enough, I'll teach you how to use my trading bot and you'll make that money back and then some real quick. And I was like, oh, okay. And it's just one of those, I teased him at the end. He switched and said mastermind group. I'm like, you said mastermind.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. See, people think it's like a marketing thing. People want to use the term mastermind because all the big players in the market have huge masterminds that are legit, like Russell Brunson's, Tony Robbins, all those. They're just amazing. I've been in multiple masterminds with those folks, and they're really good. And that, believe it or not, is what got me started on teaching people how to build high ticket masterminds. Was when I was in some of those masterminds, realizing this is actually changing my life. I can speak when I need to. We're all doing the same things, accomplish the same goals, but it's the connections in the room that are actually changing my life, not just the host of the show, host of the mastermind. And I modeled what we teach off of that because that's the way it should be done. That's what a real mastermind is.
Yeah, I would say like the group I'm in, we meet every Thursday around 11 Pacific Standard Time.
Mhm.
And literally it's one of those, he's like, I actually love this. It doesn't feel like work. And he's actually stayed on the call for up to 3 hours because he's like, we're getting stuff done that would have taken you a couple extra weeks. We'll just knock it out in 1 week.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I appreciate him, because he specifically designed the day. So if he has to go for some reason 4 hours on the call, no worries. And yeah, and that's what inspired me to start my own. Well, I always had the show, but I wasn't like as focused on the group I call upon.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, okay, I need this person, this person, this person. That's where there's another, like a podcaster, but I tease, but it is a legitimate way. He uses Anchor. And I'm like, well, you're not paying. So it's not like you're actually investing in the show. If it flops, you're like, whatever. Like me, I've almost done this a year. I'm like $500 in. This better not fail on me now.
Yeah, I get you.
But that's where he's like, I was telling him, I had this one guy on my show named Marco Torres, and he was preaching about having to use free vacation voucher, but more like a hotel stay, like a thing. And that's where I was talking to Mastermind Group and was just telling him, like, hey, this is what is there any questions I need to like roast this guy on? And they all listed it. So the other guy on his little Anchor's like, wait, you're inviting very high profile people on your show to pick their brain for an hour? I'm like, yeah, aren't you?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh shit.
That's why you have a podcast.
Exactly.
It's not for the ad money, because that ain't happening.
No. And that's what I told him, like, dude, like, unless you're going to intentionally start riots like Joe Rogan, it's hard to get money off shows now.
Yeah, really is. Yeah, for real.
So that's what I told him, like, yeah, I've picked these people's brains that in my lifetime, I don't know if I'd actually ever be able to talk to you if it wasn't for my show.
Yeah. My first podcast was a show called I Share Hope, and I interviewed 125 world leaders on the concept of hope. They were from all walks of life, all religions, all methodologies. But I got heads of state, like presidents, and I got astronauts, and I got Olympians. I got the guy who runs the Gates Foundation for like the World Health Organization. I got couldn't freaking believe it. And it was just because I had a podcast about hope. They were talking to a nobody.
Yeah.
You can't get in the room with those people, but they were like, yeah, I'll do it. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And this one lady, like, I was on this place, matchmaker.fm. I think, is that where we met, right?
That or Podmatch, one of the two.
I think it was Matchmaker then.
I can tell you when I look it up in a second.
All right. I'll finish my story as you're doing that. But this lady, high profile, and it was just one of those, like, wow, she's actually on the site. And I'm like, okay. And I reached out to her, and literally she's like, oh, I don't do a podcast without a website. Like at that time, I'm in my first like month. So I'm like, I'm trying to get like quickly as I can going. So I built up the website, and she's like, oh, okay, honey, I'll come on. I'm like, that's it? That's all I needed was a website?
Okay.
So yeah, high profile lady. Any other time, there was no way I could ask her for even 15 minutes. For the show, she's like, all right, I'll give you an hour.
Amazing.
And that's what I tell people now. I'm like, this, as long as you run it legit and you're not just weird and asking oddball questions.
Just be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, just be yourself. Well, certain asterisks with that, but
be yourself in public, because anybody's going to watch. Yeah.
Right. And
assume your grandma's listening. Yeah.
Yes. That's kind of how I approach it, actually. I mean, if we get in the weeds, just whatever. So then I'm curious, because the one thing I've actually been asked for, and I've actually been given a lot of money for, is, I'm not sure if to call it a mastermind or a consulting system or both, is teaching managers and CEOs or executives in general to treat their employees like humans. Because sad to say, business owners' greatest asset is their employee, and they treat them like shit. And it was one of those, I was working as a security guard, and just this old man, if you look at him, you would assume he's dirt poor. Rad, like 5-year-old stuff, like little moth holes here and there, broken Ford Ranger. Man's worth stupid money.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, Josh, you're a very observant one. This, because he's a successful entrepreneur. So he went from manager to like pretty much the CEO of the region, making like 40, 50K a month. And he's like, why is my baby dying? And I told him, like, dude, like, you've been way up in the C-suite area too long, the executive. I said, you forgot as a manager, like, you wanted your team to succeed and you wanted to facilitate everything because then you could take the company card and go buy the expensive taco guy down the street. And he's like, oh, yeah. I'm like, no one's doing that. They're all worried about budget and this and that. And so I told him politely, I'm like, you make a lot of money, I'm assuming. He's like, yeah. I'm like, could you afford to set $500 aside a week? He's like, yeah, that's like 2 steak dinners. I'm like, we looked at him. I don't know where you go for 2 steak dinners.
That's a good, yeah. Where you
I want to try that place out. But yeah, then he just, for let's say first month and a half, I just told him, make it a game. It's funny, as divided as we are, if we make it a game, and I said, it's sad to say too, W2 workers, $100 is game changing.
Mm-hmm.
Really sad to say, but it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Give them $100 gift card. If they hit your rules, the top 5 winners get like $100 each.
Yeah.
After like a month or month and a half, big prize, like $2,000. Then you just like layer it down. So then everyone's going to want, you're not going to fuck up my $2,000 kind of thing. And it did. In like 3 months, they 3x'd. They went from like 300,000 a day to 1,200,000 a
Good
day.
for them. It's good advice.
Right. And then that's where one of my friends was like, but that's like what everyone knows. I'm like, it's sad to say, it kind of takes a price tag for them to take you serious.
Yeah, it does. So what do you sell? What are your products and services?
It would be like coaching like that, the consultating or coaching to facilitate.
Yeah. Are you doing all one-on-one? Or are you doing anything group, like of your own mastermind or some kind of group yet?
It's mainly one-on-one right now, but I'm thinking it would still be a similar price, but a group too, so we're like different walks of life could be like, oh, Chris is having trouble with this. I know exactly what that is. Mm-hmm. I'll answer for you, Josh, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how I've grown so much, is in my little group.
Groups are more efficient, but there's so many more voices telling you what's going on. Like, you learn way faster that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
For me, for the first time in the group I joined, I was on a fly on the wall for like 2 months. I was just kind of sitting there listening. So would that be a way to approach it? Because the calls like that guy, he actually offered to pay me because I was just a worker. The W2 mindset, I was like, oh, I'm just going to, I'm observant, but I'm going to keep my head low kind of thing. So he's like, how much do you want? And I didn't even know the math until afterwards, when I had a good relationship with the office. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, $10,000. He literally wrote me a check from his personal checkbook and handed it to me. Now that I know, like, I made him almost $1,200,000 a day, that was chump change. But yeah, it was just one of those. I just sat there. I'm like, but I was like, I feel like I'm cheating. That was way too easy.
I love it. It's just the value of what you're bringing, right? You brought value. You should get paid value. You should get paid more, probably. Mm-hmm.
So then, how would I market it without like the whole Ferrari analogy you gave here? Market it without like marketing it a certain way.
A group coaching program, you mean? Yeah. And then, are we doing the podcast right now? Is this the podcast?
I kind of like this as it is. I'll add a intro. How about we give everyone a little footnote of you, and then we get into that.
Yeah, I love it. You just, everybody, hey, buddy, y'all just heard me ask that awkward question. Looks like this is a podcast. All you listeners out there, Josh, you don't have to cut this out. I hope you don't.
Okay.
As Josh and I have come to realize over time, like, these conversations that are typically the before or after the podcast recording conversations, this is where the money's at. Like, you really want to be, I wish podcasts would like release the pre and post call stuff. It's a little more personal, but we like get to real stuff, So yeah, Josh, to answer your question, the marketing of a high ticket mastermind. So folks, for us at Group Coach Nation, we teach you how to build high ticket masterminds. If you're an expert, we'll teach you how to build a high ticket mastermind. That means you're putting, let's just give context here, Josh. That means you're putting 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever people in a room. Could be a Zoom room, could be a physical room. And you're taking them through a process. They want to learn what you know how to do. The thing is, humans, like, we change and transform and grow 5 times faster in groups than we do one-on-one. There's just no way around it, because you're in there. I just hung up before Josh and I got on this call. I just hung up with the Q&A session for my mastermind. We meet twice a week as a group. There's 15 of us in each group. The group I get to lead, I have one that's 15 people, although it's a little bit bigger than that. And like, we're there to actually get stuff done. But yours truly doesn't have to answer most of the questions that come up, because by the time I get to answer a question, 4 other people with more expertise than me in that one specific area have already answered the question way better than I could have. And that's the beauty of a mastermind. You're getting the best collective advice now, and you're accountable. You're in a group setting. There's a lot of momentum, like things get done. So that's a mastermind. Okay. Everything you see online that's like, we have this mastermind that teaches you how to build a funnel, and they have 500 people in it. That's not a mastermind. That's an online course with a weekly or monthly Q&A call that you might get lucky to have one quick question answered, and then it's moving on. And yes, it comes to the free Facebook community and blah, blah. That's not a mastermind. There's nothing wrong with that thing. It's just not a mastermind. It's an online course with some helpful coaching interaction. A mastermind is a collection of people who are all there together. It's closed door, it's trusted, it's very private, and we get real stuff done. Okay. Prospecting that comes down to one thing: trust. Real masterminds are not built on a sales funnel, because people buy on a sales funnel with a decent amount of skepticism involved. People buy a high ticket program, meaning $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 to get into something. They don't buy that on a click on a funnel because they just watched a cool ad and then you had a 3-minute video that made them cry. That, again, nothing wrong with that model. That's just not a mastermind. Masterminds are purchased because they trust you, and because the audience host, the mastermind host, says, I've talked to you, my team's talked to you, like you're the right person to be in our group. My team and I actually talk to every single person multiple times before they get in our masterminds, because our masterminds are legit. They got to be good team people.
Yeah, we got to interview you. Even though you're paying us, we got to interview you.
You do. So all the prospecting is built on trust, to answer your question, Josh. That could be direct social media outreach on LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever your favorite brand is, Instagram, whatever. It could be building a large presence on YouTube and nurturing trust that way. It gives people a chance to know, like, and trust you. It could be from referrals. It could be that you're in other people's masterminds and they want to join your mastermind, and there's, connections that way. It's trust, though. It always comes down to trust, not bots running things to just get X number of clicks to buy your free plus shipping offer.
Yes. Yeah. That's 100% true. Like, for me, now that you're explaining in better context, I'm realizing that's exactly what my guy did. Even though this is more like his lead funnel, you pay him to be a lead kind of thing. But yeah, literally he did the same thing. I interviewed him once just to get to know him and tell him my situation, what I'm thinking. And essentially he's like, Josh, that's cute. You're not going to make money that way though. He's like, so let's actually get down to the nitty gritty. So an hour like this, we were just talking. And then the second one was just more a quick 30-minute catch up. And that's where I was like, all right, send me the link. I'm in. And it's $30 a month. That's where I'm like, this is for him. This is not his moneymaker. It's like enough to pay for my electricity and my website. That's all I need.
Yeah.
Because he has really high price ticket items like SEO services, website building, 10, 20K a month. And I'm like, dude, I wish I was at that point where it made more sense to pay you 20K than to do it myself. But
yeah. Yeah. Anyway, great question. Give me another question about masterminds.
So what is, like you were mentioning YouTube, LinkedIn, all that, what are some avenues to demonstrate that you should come join my group kind of thing?
So I can just give you Group Coach Nation's example of this. So any of you go to groupcoachnation.com, you'll see a whole bunch of free information. Now, I'm like, follow our pattern. I'm explaining our pattern. Here it is. So groupcoachnation.com, we have a section that allows you to see if you're a beginner, advanced, or pro right there on the homepage. You can kind of figure out, like, here's where I am. Here's what I want to accomplish. I want to build a group coaching program mastermind. And here's where I currently am as an entrepreneur today. You kind of find out where you are. And there's a bunch of like free content in those sections to help you at your level start your own high ticket mastermind. That's what we're all about, right? So that builds relationship, right? Videos on websites allow people to build relationships. They allow everybody to get like tested out a little bit. Do I like it? Does this guy seem legit? Do our personalities click? Do I like the way he communicates? Does this thing actually seem like it's real information? All that stuff's great. It's really helpful. And then you can go like into our Facebook groups or our LinkedIn profile, whatever. And we do tons of live Q&A in there for the community, just helping people grow. Again, building more connection and trust. So anybody who's interested right now, listening in building your own high ticket group coaching program, like go to groupcoachnation.com and figure it out. Like take a look. And then look at what we're doing. We're there for real to help you. Because if you ever want to buy into one of our masterminds, you can't click a link and buy. You have to find a time to talk to one of our people, because we have to interview you and find out, is this even right for you? Does it make sense for you right now? Like, that's what makes what we do work. And we teach tons of people to build high ticket masterminds, Josh, and all of them follow a very similar model. And they kind of leave that low tier click through model alone when it comes to their high ticket offer. That there might be a funnel that's going from low ticket to high ticket, or they might just start with high ticket. Like a lot of people do, just go straight to high ticket. It's just as much work. Just go for the bigger ticket. But even if there's a lower ticket involved, they're doing it in a way that when it does get to that high ticket, like, okay, we're inviting you to something for real here. You're going to be interacting with me and a small group of people. We're going to have a conversation and find out if this is right for you.
That's awesome. So then I'm assuming you're not, because it's such a high ticket volume, you're not getting so many people just quickly throwing in their hat, and you have like high volumes of interviews, or are you?
Like quitting in the program?
Well, I'm thinking the start of the funnel for the high ticket.
Oh, I see.
Like the interviewing. Do a lot of people just like stop because it's like, oh, I have an interview? Like, ooh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, sure. There's people definitely in our program. I mean, there's thousands and thousands of people in the Group Coach Nation community, and me and my team have not spoken to all those people for sure. That's okay, right? Because a lot of them are just trying to figure out, is this the right thing for them? And if they get in groupcoachnation.com and on the website or in the Facebook group, whatever, and realize, this is awesome, but it's just not for me. We want them to sort that out before we get on a call with them, right?
Right.
So yeah, that funnel process is still the same. We're just doing it in a very relational, authentic way, because that's how high ticket things are sold.
Yeah, it makes it feel like it's an exclusive club, and not in a scammy way. It's like, if you master rules, then yes, we'll let you in. So then I take it hypothetically. You don't have to get the real number. What is your price for your mastermind?
Hypothetically, what's my price?
Yeah.
So we have 3 different levels: beginner, advanced, and pro. Okay. And let me just go this way, because I don't mind saying our prices. What I don't want to do is I don't want to like give the secret sauce away.
Right. No, that's what I was like, hypothetically, without giving it away.
And this is not from a sales standpoint, but like it matter. Well, here's what matters. And this is when I say to everybody else, it doesn't matter when I say don't give a secret sauce away. I don't care if you know the prices of my mastermind, because it's not a big deal. I care that people price their masterminds the right way, and my price shouldn't be your price.
Right.
Okay. Here's the way I would price it. You want to make sure you're pricing it at least where someone's going to get a 10x return on what you're charging them. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we charge 10% of what we know people will get out of our mastermind. So if somebody, let's just pick a number here. If you're going to charge $5,000 for a mastermind seat, by the way, that is as freaking low as I would ever go. All right. You're starting to get into e-course range there. If you're going to charge $5,000 for a mastermind seat for, like, let's say 3 months, let's make something up here, and you're going to teach people how to market with a website. If you can teach them how to make, based on your industry and the niche you're in and what they're selling and people that you talk to, if they're going to make a $50,000 difference, $50,000 difference in their business based on your $5,000 expense, teach them how to do it. Like if over the next year they make $50,000 more, that's totally worth it. Mm-hmm. Like they should have signed up last year, right? So if you're going to make them a $500,000 difference, it's not hard to charge $50,000. And you always say, well, dang, Chris. Yeah, it is, because who's got $50,000? I promise you, there's a lot of people who do.
Yes, they do. And especially if it's business, that's a tax write-off right there.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people trying to make a big difference and they want to move. And most people kind of get this limiting belief in their head about charging more for their products or services because it seems expensive to you. But you're not the one buying it. You're the one doing the best work you can with your 5 or 10 years worth of experience. That's worth money. And somebody will pay you just to get it done. So charge what it's worth.
Interesting. So you mentioned something that actually caught my ear. So you said if you were going to lowball it to 5K, but you're borderline e-course range for 3 months. So is that actually a thing you could do, like quarterly or yearly instatements kind of thing?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Payment plans are totally fine. So most masterminds are, they're a single pay, maybe 2 or 3, 4 pay, whatever. I wouldn't do a payment plan that's, number one, not attached to a contract where everybody knows, hey, you got to pay me if I'm doing the work, right? And number two, don't extend your payment plans longer than the term of the mastermind. So if you're doing a 3-month long mastermind, a 3 pay is fine, but don't do a 5 pay. Because depending on the market you're in, sometimes you kind of get just dropped on that stuff. The market I'm in, I used to have people drop because I was in a lower market, but our mastermind participants are extremely high level. They all have huge audiences and huge brands, and they're just crushing it. And they're not the kind of people who stiff on that, and they don't want that name in the market anyway. But I would keep the payment terms inside of the duration of your delivery terms.
So then, selfishly for me, like I helped that one guy go for about like $1 million a day. Would that 100K in his situation would be completely safe and fair to ask for?
Oh yeah. Yeah. We build we have a done for you agency also. And we don't work with, I work with business coaches, consultants, people marketing systems, that kind of stuff. People who have a business acumen and they want to sell that into high ticket mastermind, some kind of expertise. A lot of speakers, coaches, authors, communities, whatever. In our done for you agency, though, we work in a completely different market for that agency. And our average fee is, I think it was $127,000 last year for the average fee for a website build, social media launch, and basic platform stuff. And it's worth that because the market we work in has 10 times that much result from the work that we do. We bring them really good, high quality leads. So super duper, right?
Right. Yeah. That I'm going to say I don't have 127,000, but if I did, I'd definitely be just like, help me kind of thing.
Yeah. But if you're in the right business, that's like, they're like, oh my gosh, you're like 3 times as expensive as the nearest competitor we could find. And I'm like, awesome. Like I'm not here to just charge you 3 times for no reason, but how'd you find out about us? And they're like, well, so-and-so referred us and so-and-so referred us, and we heard you speak at this conference. Cool. Is there anything I can do to help you understand why this is or isn't worth the price? They're like, no, we get it. So-and-so referred you and they said, expletive, he sure is expensive, but it's worth it. I'm like, okay, great. Then how can I help you get started? I mean, let's get the results. You're going to gulp. Let's get the pill swallowed and let's get to the results side of this thing.
Right. That's a good tab to have. I had a lady who does business coaching, and she made her company already was making like $2 million in the 12 months she just launched it. She has run successful stuff beforehand too, so it wasn't like from 0 to hero that quick. But that's the one thing she said. She's like, I love word of mouth because it doesn't matter the price. They're like, oh, so and so I trust referred you. They said she is a little pricey, but she'll get shit done for you.
Yeah, and that's a big deal, right? Because we all know. I mean, there's so many people out there delivering some sort of content or creative process, and you're like pulling them along. Somebody who can just get the work done and does what they say they'll do by a deadline is worth twice as much as everybody else.
Oh yeah. That's good to know. So then I'm just interested because now I'm thinking here 5K for e-course is still ringing in my head.
Does it seem like a lot or a little to you?
It's a lot. I'm still a W-2. So 5K is huge.
I get it. Yeah.
But I'm just curious. So let's just say you have an e-course like that. And it's just like low end of the funnel, high end of the funnel going low. Would that be more like okay, we get it. You don't have the money to join our group. Here's like a quick and dirty cheat sheet kind of thing course?
you got to decide what your market needs to look like. And I think people forget that when they start the funnel building and traffic process. So if your goal is to sell, your ultimate goal is to sell a $6,000 a year membership, $500 a month to some, group that is there, and there's a bunch of content and there's a once a month Q&A call, if that's your goal and that's the high end, then yeah, selling a $500, $200 little quick 2-video e-course with a fill-in sheet, that could be perfect, because that buyer is going to be like moving through the value ladder, and a portion of them will become your $6,000 a year person, $500 a month person. But if you're looking for $50,000 buyers, $100,000 buyers, $1 million buyers, then you don't want to start by offering them a $200 deal, because your $100,000 buyer doesn't click and buy the $200 deal unless they're just trying to hack your funnel. But if they're making real money, then their time is being used wisely. And the more we get in the success realm, the more valuable our time becomes, because another dollar doesn't actually mean a whole lot other than just it's fun, it's scorekeeping, and it's a goal and blah, blah, but it's not changing our lives, right? So the time thing becomes a bigger issue. So I'm not going to buy a low tier offer unless I'm just curious to see what's behind the door. But if I'm looking for something that's going to change my life, it's not going to be $200. It's going to be something that I know has serious quality, and I know that quality comes with a price tag. And so I know that a $200 item is probably not worth it. I could be completely wrong. I know a lot of listeners are like, but my product is completely worth it and it's $200 and it's awesome. I get it. But the higher you go in the buying market, the less likely that high-end buyer is to spend a low ticket amount, because they've come to know greater value with a greater price tag. It's just presumption.
And it's just also how the human mind works too. It's that's why a lot of consultants charge as much as they do. It's like, they could be one of the biggest sleaze bags, but it's like, it's $1 million. The company's like, well, apparently he has something.
Yeah. And it's just, it's the way it works,
So I'm just curious, because I just rechecked your description of everything. That's another thing I've been thinking about. Masterminds. I just hit my own mic. One of the biggest things I'm working for, but it's also I like one-on-one coaching, and that's for like the $500 a month that rang for me. So let's say I'm starting a coaching one too on the side of the mastermind and everything else I'm doing in my life. I was thinking for the $500 for the month, 4 one-on-one calls and a group call. I mean, now it's kind of sound like I should charge more for that.
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
what are you advising them on? What are you coaching them? What's the topic?
The business, like leadership with empathy, and how.
Oh yeah. Way more. I got 2 guys right now in one of my masterminds, and they've both paid $25K to. They're both charging $25K in their mastermind for teaching empathy-based leadership.
Oh shit! I am way undervaluing myself.
A 12-week program.
Okay, so then
so they're making $2,000 a week per person, and they're putting, I don't know, like 15, 20 people in a group, and they're running a legit mastermind.
Right. Yeah. I want to say, if it's going through you, it sounds like it's a legit one. So even if I saw it and I had the money, I'd be like, okay. Hypothetically, with hindsight, I know now. It's like, oh, that's Chris's group. I can trust anything they can say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot more there. Another way to do this, for anybody who's out there just kind of getting their consultancy started, pricing it based on value is obviously the best play. But if you're trying to figure out, well, I'm not quite sure what it's worth, and you're working your confidence up, just simply work a little math problem based on your current income. So take your current annual income. I'm just going to play with numbers here for a second. Okay. Take your current annual income, and let's say you currently make $50K a year. I'll do a couple different numbers. $50K a year divided by 2,000 hours. That's how many hours a full-time job is on average. That's $25 an hour. All right. I would be like 5Xing, 10Xing, something like that, your hourly rate, just to go into consulting. So if somebody's getting you your expertise and you're still in 9 to 5, let's say you make 30 grand, just again, playing with numbers here, 30 grand divided by 2,000. I'm sure some of you have already this in your head, $15 an hour. I'd be charged, if you did 5 times that, that'd be, what is that? $75 an hour.
75.
Yeah. And then all you got to do is work 8 to 10 hours a week consulting, and you've replaced your income. And now you have all this time to prospect and grow your business. Like, you can totally get out. Let's say you're making $100K a year. 100K is what's $50 an hour, 100K. Let's see. I think it's $50 an hour divided by 2,000. $50 an hour. I would totally be 5Xing that number. Charge $250 an hour to $500 an hour, somewhere in there, because your level of professionalism, your level of understanding, the thing you're teaching is not what you get paid for at the average job. The average job is paying you for a lot of just stuff. Time moving around, transitioning between jobs, sitting in meetings. They're not paying you for the dialed in, I want to distill your information and get it right now. That dialed in, distilled information is worth 5 to 10 times more at least. If you're just starting, start with those numbers. Grow as you grow. But absolutely, that's for one-on-one consulting.
Cool. So then, I kind of figured out the difference, but let's hear your point of view, the difference between coaching and consulting.
Yeah. Semantics mostly.
Okay.
Some people get way, sorry, listeners, if you're listening, like, no, it's not. I get it. Everybody's got an opinion, but semantics mostly.
Okay.
It's like Ford versus Chevy. Is it a pickup truck? Yep. Is there a huge difference? Not to me, but to my next door neighbor who has a brand new Ford sitting in his driveway, it's just decked out. Yeah, there's a difference, and he does not like Chevys, right? So it's taking someone, sharing your expertise and advising them through a process and helping them stay accountable. The more accountability, typically, the more show up and right there with you. That's typically more on the coaching spectrum, if you want to make a definition change there. And the more advising and like pointing the way, but not holding their hand the whole time, is more consulting. All right. So an attorney is a consultant and an advisor. They're giving you advice on your situation. An attorney who's like sitting there with you and filling in the forms with you and making you do all the work, that's more of a coach. But attorneys don't do that, right? A coach is someone who's sitting at the gym with you, watching you do push-ups. They're right there with you. That's definitely on the coaching spectrum. Make sense?
So then if you're running, let's say, because now that I'm like got your definition, I definitely can see where I would be flipping between the two. If it is more client of coaching, do you charge less or more than a consulting client?
Consulting, I would say, would be on the higher end. If you want to change the paradigm for yourself and for those who you're serving, I would shift to the consulting model.
Okay.
Coaching is probably seen a little lower tier. Group Coach Nation is the name of our brand. And it's not because it's low tier. It's because we've identified our market as using the words group coach before they use the term mastermind leader or group consultant or something like that. And in groups, it's truly more coaching because you're right there with them. It's more hands-on than just here's the advice, now go and do well.
Yeah, for me, kind of like the other guy earlier in the show, I was like, I just kind of like, oh, I didn't give you that good of information. Why would you pay me so much money?
Yeah.
But so yeah, it would be more coaching, and I guess that would be the part where I'm telling him like, you want to like gamification, you want to like throw in prizes, free food. Yeah, okay, now I'm starting to see it. Thank you.
You're asking good questions.
Thank you. Well, I literally saw that when you reached out to me, and you're like this, and I was just working on my Kartra page, which like is giving me so much grief about my .com like login. So I'm just building it out right now. And it was just one of those, I'm like, that's a good point. Cause I'm like, as I want to pick his brain. He's doing this successfully. And like we were mentioning earlier in podcasting, it's like, I get to pick your brain freely for an hour. And then everyone's like, wow, Chris is a genius. We need to go to him. Sorry, Josh.
You're not a genius. I wish I was.
So then you've mentioned a few times, would something like TikTok, or I'm not very active on social media, but I'm trying to figure it out. would like a TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube be good for like the short form video content? So if like people are just to more get you known, not necessarily to get you sales, but more like, oh, this guy's legit. He's not like just selling random stuff to me.
Yeah. So getting known is kind of a tough thing to do,
Especially in this age of pay to play.
Yeah, it really is. So here's the getting known thing. To get known by an audience, they have to see you quite a few times in a row in a short period of time. They got to get to know you. Like the person, you know, in the lobby of your building or in the next spot over in your office or whatever, they get to know you.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just see somebody out your office window walking by, they could be more interesting than your current office mate, but you'd never get to know them because you're seeing them once in a fleeting second. And most social media, YouTube videos, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn, blah, blah, whatever. People go out there and they build a profile and they start doing their thing. Unless you're truly a superstar remarkable and you've got such an attractive audience thing going on because you dance awesome on TikTok or you're hilarious or whatever. But there's so many people trying to crack that code. It's very noisy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're that 1 in a million, you're not going to get through. You got to create a space on a platform. Pick a platform, create a space on that platform where you're attracting people to that space so they can get to know you. The easiest example is Facebook groups. You can create a Facebook group for free, and you can go out on Facebook and you can invite people based on their profile who you think would be a best fit for your audience. You can reach out to them and say, hey, and invite them to your Facebook group. And then they get to be in there and they get to know you because they get exposed to you a lot because they're part of your Facebook group. Facebook prioritizes that algorithm pretty well. LinkedIn does a pretty decent job with their groups. I'd say Instagram, TikTok are way weaker on that break-in. If you got money to spend on ads, Instagram's a great spot to go. If you don't, I'd stay in Facebook or LinkedIn groups.
Okay.
But you gotta create a party, a house party, let's say, and you got to invite people to it. And then they get to know you at the party. If you just have a party, no one's going to know. And if anything, they're just going to call you and tell you to turn the music down. You have to have a party and invite all the neighbors, and they'll get to know you. And that's a big difference. Most people have a party on social media, but they don't have a party that's a private house party and invite all the people. You got to get them into your space.
Interesting. So then, like many other coaches have said to me off air, it's cliche to say, but they're like, just get on as many podcasts that are relevant to you as possible, because they're a hot lead, not a cold lead. So when they listen to you, they're more willing because so-and-so invited them on. So they're like, this guy must be legit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously I'm just simplifying, but
yeah, you're fishing in a pond that's more likely to have your ideal customer. But here's the thing about podcasts, and you know this, I know this, we both have shows. Your podcast is full of people who primarily just listen. It's just entertainment, mm-hmm. or information entertainment, you know? And if that's 10 people or a bazillion people, or, you know, just your grandmother clicking on 5 different devices so it looks like she's just trying to help out, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, there's the magic is, who are you interviewing and who's interviewing you? Because that's a relationship. So Josh, you and I now have a relationship, but I don't have a relationship yet with your listeners. And unless they're highly attracted and at the right moment, right time to be interested in what I'm doing, it won't matter to them and they'll forget this interview. That's the truth of it.
Yeah.
But you and I have a connection. You won't forget me for a while, and I won't forget you for a while. We get buyers for our masterminds from podcast audiences, but it's not as often as you would hope it'd be. We like educating on podcasts and helping people move forward, but it's not. That's not the model. The model is actually who you're talking to on the Zoom call.
That is very true. That's very true. That's the one that, like you comment, I've noticed this too. Long after I had a conversation with someone, I'll add them on Instagram and be like, oh, hey, you know, how you doing? It's been like 6 months. What's new with you? And they're like, oh, you know, what's funny? We were just thinking about you too. And it's just one of those, I'm like, that's so weird. Because I'm like, I just got a reminder from my Google Mail. It's been 6 months.
Yeah. having a show or being on other shows is a relationship building game, and it's amazing. It's wonderful. I think it's the coolest thing out there. And as we were talking about when the show was started, if you include those first few minutes or not, we had a show called I Share Hope. That was my first entry into podcasting. And people would hang out with me on that show because of what I was talking about, not because of who I was. And podcasting gives you that opportunity. You get to hang out with people who are ahead of you, because they want to support what you're doing and want to be part of what you're doing, not because of who you've already become in the industry, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's a shortcut.
It really is. And it's like, oh, okay. It's like the like we've been saying pretty much this whole time, we're social creatures as humans. Groups are better. So it's like, oh, this is a group. I like this group. The vibe is good. I want to stay here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I'm just curious. How long do I got you for? Because we're getting around
I'm good for another 5 or 6 minutes, five or 8 minutes. Yeah.
Perfect. So then, I got like 3 going out questions for you, and then anything else you want to add on the end at the end.
Great, dude.
Other than work, what have you been doing during these lockdown times to keep yourself busy?
Oh, you're gonna love this.
All right.
You share the video or just the audio of this?
I can show the video. Most people ask me not to.
More work to do. I'm not trying to do that.
It's fine.
I will show you. I'll just pull up on my screen. All right, I'm going to pull up 2 tabs, and oh my gosh, I could talk about this all day. I'm so glad we didn't start here, or else we would not have gotten anywhere. I'm just going to go ahead and preload these 2 tabs real quick, and I'll tell you exactly what I've been doing during the lockdown. Oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. All right, here we go. I'm just clicking on their website, so it's better for all you folks out there. So first up, let me share my screen here. Oh, can you give me permission?
Try that now.
Got it. There we go.
Hey,
Super 73 electric bikes. Oh my gosh. This brand of electric bike is the coolest cafe racers. And they have a dirt bike model and they have a cafe racer model. We got super into the cafe racer style, and we go all over town on the, oh my gosh, these bikes are the best. Couple $1,000, it will change your life. The first few months of the lockdown, we were like, we've got to freaking do something. And so we got into that. All right, here's number 2. Evolve skateboards.
I think Casey Neistat was using those at one point.
Casey Neistat has a boosted board.
Oh, okay.
A bunch of boosted boards. And actually, Casey Neistat, believe it or not, I'm glad you brought him up. Casey's the one who got me hooked on the Super 73 bike.
Yeah,
and then
his recent videos, he's really using it a lot too.
Yeah, he's in LA and a little bit in New York sometimes. But and then the skateboard thing, I've always wanted one. And then I started looking at his board. And the company that he's using, it's kind of fallen off. They're just not leading anymore. Evolve has twice the range, twice the speed. It's extremely rugged. It has off-road wheels. I ride in the city pretty much always, and these off-road wheels go up and down curbs, go across lawns. They crush it. So those are the things that I've been doing. The city where I spent more hours than anything else in lockdown, it has been riding electric toys.
I mean, and it's funny, the government has nothing against it. As long as you're outside in the sun, they're like, well, all right, be good.
Yeah, I'm doing my thing. Yeah. I got a helmet on all the time too, so that's even better, right? I'm like,
that is super smart. I've been taken out by a car one too many times on my bike. I'm thankful for helmets.
Yeah.
So other than that,
that was a good question. That was the best question you've asked so far.
Thank you.
It's not going to make you any money, but it's going to cost you money. But it was a good question. Yeah.
What is someone aspiring to be like you, successful guy, has a great coaching business, this and that. What are some tips, tricks, or advice you give them to start that path?
I'd say number 1 is just have a mindset of doing work to get results. We say that at the end of every conversation we have at Group Coach Nation: do work, get results. It's not about hustling 80 hours a week. I'm not a fan of that. It's not about just the grit and grind of staying up all night. That's not it. It's about being smart. Find the right strategy. Find a person you trust. Find the community you trust, whatever. Find the person who knows how to do what you want to do. and buy their information at whatever level you can. If it's $200, if it's $20,000, buy access to them and buy their information and learn how they do it. Do the right work to get the results. The flip side of that is be careful. There's a lot of people out there being pretty scammy, constantly bragging about how awesome they are and how cool their rented Ferrari is, or how cool this balcony is that I'm on while I'm on vacation. Whatever. We've all been on vacation and we've all seen a cool balcony. All right. I want to know what you're doing every freaking day, because that's what makes you money. And that's what I want to learn from. So look for that person and then do the right work and get the results.
100%. Well, we said it throughout the whole thing, but where can everyone contact you at? Social and website wise?
Just go to groupcoachnation.com or Google Group Coach Nation. You'll find us, and all the social links are there. But that's the place to get started. It's fine if you're a beginner, advanced, or pro level person, and we got something for you.
Perfect. Chris, this has been absolutely game changing, at least for me. I don't know about the others listening, and I hope it is too.
Absolutely, Josh. You know, everybody else listening to Josh, you listen to Josh. He's your person, right? Lean in and ask him questions. If he can give you an hour and he can do some consulting for you for an hour, like, for real, like, you already learned to trust the guy. He knows what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Just lean in, ask him questions. This is your guy. So well done, Josh. Well done building a community.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Absolute honor and a pleasure to have you on. Well, congratulations. You made it to the end. You're an awesome person. Not many make it here. So, being the awesome person that you are, can you do me one more awesome favor? Can you rate and review this on whatever podcast services you're using? If you do it on Apple and you leave an actual written review, I have a thing on my website. I will take your written review and post it for all to see. Congratulations, you're permanently sealed on my site. Otherwise, I am trying to do YouTube more and live streaming. I will try to put as many of the YouTube links in the description of the show as I can. So give your boy some extra help over on YouTube. Watch my videos. I just mute it and change the channel, change the window or something. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for being awesome, and see you next time.